You know, in the final years of the Nintendo Entertainment System, something really weird started happening. As developers were pushing that old 8-bit hardware to its absolute breaking point, the games themselves just started to get, well, strange. And today, we're looking at a game that is the perfect time capsule of that moment. A bizarre, neon-soaked fever dream of magic and, of all things, surfer slang. Okay, let's just dive right in.
This, my friends, is Totally Rad. I mean, just look at that box art. Jaleco dropped this in 1991, and it is just an explosion of bright yellow, hot pink, and some gnarly-looking monster that just screams early 90s. This is a game that wears its wild, bodacious attitude right on its sleeve from the second you see it on the shelf.
And the story? Oh, it's even more ridiculous than the cover. Get this, the main character is a teenager who, and I'm quoting directly from the manual here, spends his spare time hanging out at the circus learning sorcery from a freaky-looking leprechaun man named Zebediah. I mean, you literally cannot make this stuff up.
So the whole premise is you're playing as Jake, who is the absolute textbook definition of an early 90s California skater dude. His, quote, righteous babe of a girlfriend, Allison, gets kidnapped by some evil warlord and his army of underground monsters. So naturally, it's up to Jake to use his gnarly magic skills to go save the day. It's your classic damsel in distress story, but it feels like it was filtered through a Bill and Ted movie.
But here's where it gets really, really interesting. This whole over-the-top, slang-filled American adventure, well, that isn't the original story. Not by a long shot. This game is hiding a completely different past.
Yeah, it turns out that Totally Rad was actually released in Japan a year before under a very different name, Magic John. And believe me, the game itself was just as different as that title suggests.
And this right here shows you just how massive this transformation was. In Japan, you had Magic John. The hero was this cute, doe-eyed anime kid named John on a pretty standard quest to save his childhood friend, Yu. But for the US release, they threw all that out. John became Jake, a full-on Keanu Reeves lookalike, and Yu was swapped for Allison, his bodacious babe. The entire script was tossed in the trash and rewritten from the ground up, just packed with so much surfer lingo it almost feels like a parody.
And speaking of parody, the writing in the American manual is so out there, it almost has to be intentional. Like, for example, it tries to explain the main villain's motivation for kidnapping Allison with this bizarre tangent about how he's a huge fan of public transportation and refuses to go anywhere near the Hollywood freeway. It really makes you think the localizers at Jaleco were just having a laugh, deliberately poking fun at pop culture trends instead of just trying to appeal to the kids.
So you gotta ask the question, why? Why go through all this trouble? Why give a perfectly fine game such a drastic and frankly bizarre cultural makeover? Well, the answer really lies in what was going on with the console wars at the time.
See, by the early 90s, the NES was getting a little old. The Sega Genesis was the new cool kid on the block, and it was being marketed with all this edgy attitude. Nintendo games were starting to be seen as just cute or for younger kids. So publishers like Jaleco felt they had to inject this attitude into their NES games to even compete. And for them, attitude apparently meant surfer slang and skater dudes. Okay, so the story is a weird historical artifact. We get it. But what about the actual game? Like, is it any fun to play? Well, underneath all that slang is a surprisingly solid and, challenging action platformer.
And this is really the core of the gameplay. See, unlike most games where you slowly unlock new powers, Totally Rad just dumps a full arsenal of 12 spells on you right from the very beginning. You can heal yourself, stop time, become invincible, clear the screen with elemental attacks, and you could even turn into 3 different animals to get around the levels. For an NES game, that is an incredibly deep system.
Really, the closest comparison you can make is the Mega Man series. Jake's main attack, this Psychic Blast, and his charge shot feel very, very familiar. But the whole power-up system is completely flipped on its head. Imagine starting a Mega Man game with every single Robot Master power already unlocked, but they all draw from one single energy meter. That's basically Totally Rad.
But here's the catch, and man, it is a big one. There are absolutely zero health or magic pickups inside the levels. None. At all. The only way to get health back is to use a healing spell, and the only way to get your magic back is to beat the stage. This makes the game incredibly difficult and forces you to be super strategic about how and when you use your very limited resources.
So, we've got a completely bonkers story and some seriously tough-as-nails gameplay. But the final piece of this whole Totally Rad puzzle is its unforgettable look and how it's remembered today.
Just check out this old magazine ad. The tagline says it all, doesn't it? Finally, a game that speaks your language. This is exactly how Jaleco was pitching the game's attitude. They weren't just selling you a game. They were selling you a vibe, a lingo, a whole early 90s persona in a cartridge.
And the in-game art style is definitely a love it or hate it kind of thing. It's an assault on the senses, but honestly in the best way possible. We're talking an extremely colorful, almost garish palette. Hot pink, slime greens, and then later levels just become these psychedelic pulsing rainbow nightmares. But if you look past the wild colors, the actual sprite work and animation are top-notch for the NES, especially the huge, grotesque, and just wonderfully designed bosses.
You know, despite all its quirks, or maybe because of them, Totally Rad has become this really beloved cult classic. For years, it was one of those hidden gems you could find for super cheap, which made it this accessible, fascinating piece of gaming history for retro collectors. It's a true time capsule.
And its journey didn't just end in the 90s. The game got a modern revival on the Evercade back in 2021, and its re-release on the Nintendo Switch in 2025 is huge, because it means that for the first time ever, players can officially buy and compare the American Totally Rad right alongside the original Japanese Magic John.
So what's the final word on Totally Rad? Is it just some cringy, dated relic from a totally misguided marketing trend? Or is it a challenging, really well-designed hidden gem that's actually worth playing today? You know, the beauty of this game is that it doesn't have to be one or the other. It can absolutely be both. And honestly, that's what makes it so totally rad.